Through various integrated, engaged teaching and research activities, Dr. Cockburn has pioneered a transdisciplinary and holistic approach to community engagement, which is rich and inspiring. Her conceptualization of transdisciplinarity as a personal and professional practice situated at the nexus of science, society, and self has informed her engaged research as well as engaged teaching in the form of service learning. Jessica's transdisciplinarity and integrated methodologies, characterized as organic processes of seamlessly integrating engagement into both teaching and research, have been evolutionary and inclusive. The partnerships forged with diverse community stakeholders are characterized by mutual reciprocity and collaboration. As we gather here this evening, we reflect on Jessica's transformative work in the community of Makhanda. Her innovative approach to teaching and research has fostered meaningful partnerships with community organizations, such as River Rescue, the Tsitsa River, Catchment, and more recently, the team at Assegai Trails, paving the way for collaborative efforts aimed at sustainable development and environmental conservation. Her involvement in various community projects also provides testimony to how community engagement has evolved at Rhodes University. She has applied teaching, learning, and research resources to meet community needs, to specifically confront the pressing social, ecological sustainability crisis the community faces. Balancing the advancement of teaching and research with community development with remarkable synergy, Dr. Cockburn is recognized by her students, colleagues, and community partners as deeply aware of the importance of context, connections, and care. And these ideas are core to her personal, or ideals are core to her personal philosophy as an academic. Dr. Cockburn was initially just a volunteer at River Rescue, a small local volunteer-based organization, which started in Makhanda in early 2020 to clean the rivers in the city of Makhanda. The aim of River Rescue is to restore the link between our rivers and our people. Jessica's role is now facilitator of a learning partnership between River Rescue and the Department of Environmental Science. Through her pioneering methodologies and collaborative initiatives, Jessica has also empowered her students to become active participants in addressing pressing social and ecological challenges facing our society. Her commitment to experiential learning and transdisciplinary research has broadened students' horizons and made a tangible difference in the communities they serve. Environmental science honor students participate as volunteers in cleanups. They bring their knowledge of environmental science into discussion and planning of river rescue activities. Students develop their own specific projects to benefit river rescue, such as social media campaigns, mapping activities, and educational outreach activities. This project contributes to the transformation of the way in which local rivers are managed and cared for, the way in which local residents interact with and relate to the river. The relationships between the university and the local community and physical environment, students at a personal level, in terms of personal growth and skills and knowledge beyond what they get in a formal classroom setting. That is what this project contributes. The River Rescue team was honored for their critical role in this core learning partnership by receiving the Rhodes University Community Engagement Partner of the Year Award in 2023. Complementing this teaching initiative is Dr. Cockburn's engaged research, which focuses on landscapes, linkages, and learning, and ultimately aims to conserve the watercourses of Makanda and the broader landscapes of the Eastern Cape, such as the Tsitsa Project. The Tsitsa Project was a large collaborative project that started in 2014, involving numerous stakeholders, including researchers, local community members, natural resource managers, policymakers, local NGOs, and others. The project goal was to bring together a range of stakeholders to collectively work towards more sustainable landscape management and rural livelihoods development in the Tsitsa River catchment. Jessica continues to expand and evolve her community engagement activities. Currently, she is reworking, together with her colleagues, a practical component of the environmental science third-year course on environmental management concepts and methods, where students are introduced to basic research tools to inform and support environmental management in response to the needs of the community partner Assegai Trails. Tonight, we celebrate Dr. Cockburn's unwavering dedication to the public good and her profound impact on our university and beyond. We congratulate her on being the recipient of this prestigious award. Now, ladies, gentlemen, and others who do not subscribe, distinguished guests, it is my honor and privilege to invite Dr. Jessica Cockburn to present her Distinguished Community Engagement Award lecture titled Engaged Research and Teaching for the Public Good, the Interconnection of Head, Heart, and Hands. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm wondering if I can put this a bit higher so I don't stoop. Good evening, everybody. Yep. Thank you so much for all being here. It's a real honor to stand here and address you and to have received this award. When I got the award, I thought, oh, it's too soon. The work's just started. But in reflecting on it, it is a really wonderful encouragement to continue with this work and to share it more widely. And as Di said, to hopefully share my experiences and lessons so that others may be inspired to do similar work as well. So thank you so much for being here. And it's also really, really wonderful to be integrated into the Community Engagement Conference. I hope you've all had a wonderful time. And let's go. So, pracademic in training, working at the interface of theory and practice to address the intertwined challenges of ecosystem sustainability and social justice. This is the short biography which I wrote when I first subscribed to Twitter, now X, in 2014. 10 years since I wrote this Twitter bio seems a fitting time to reflect on how my training as a pracademic is progressing. This year also marks 20 years since I began my undergrad degree at Rhodes University. There's much to be thankful for and much to celebrate. And in that vein, I want to start by celebrating and thanking my mom, Stella, for being here. She commented earlier about how she remembers dropping me off at Atherston House 20 years ago and me sitting nervously on the wall. Well, much has happened since then. So the way I now see my work as a pracademic is situated at the nexus of research and teaching in environmental science. And I'm truly grateful for our Madam DVC for reading the citation. She's done a lot of the introductory work for me, so I'm able to skip ahead a little bit on some of the preliminaries. So the lecture here is a personal reflection on my journey so far as a pracademic or engaged researcher and teacher, where I've been actively seeking ways to link theory and practice, thinking and actions, knowing and doing. So in higher education, we're tasked with conducting research and teaching and producing knowledge. And often research and teaching are complemented by a third so-called pillar, I don't agree with that term, of societal or community engagement. For me, it's different. I see societal engagement as the foundation for my work as a researcher and teacher, especially in my discipline as environmental science. One can't do real good environmental science in a disengaged way. So for me, it's the foundation, and it's the societal engagements are the thing that bring to life my work as an environmental scientist. So I've been really fortunate to partner with a range of different research projects and work in a range of different teaching contexts, courses, curricula, etc. And unfortunately, I won't be able to speak to all of them this evening. So what I'll be doing is just to try and focus on the two spaces in which I've had the most growth and learning in terms of my work as an engaged researcher and teacher, which are the Tsitsa Project, so that has primarily been a research process, and the River Rescue Partnership, which has been primarily a teaching process. But of course, the two, research and teaching, must inform one another as well. So I will continue now with a few photographs and themes that I've drawn out of my experiences in these two partnerships and learning spaces. So the first is the Tsitsa Project. The Tsitsa Project began in around 2014. It's based in the Northeastern Cape in the Tsitsa River catchment. It was a sustainable land management initiative, initially designed and initiated to reduce erosion of land because there were plans for a big dam. The ribbon was cut by 2 presidents ago. The dam has still not materialized. And what quickly became apparent was that what was more useful and meaningful was for the project to look at sustainable landscape management for the benefit of local residents, the community members, people who live in the Tsitsa catchment. And so, thank you, we're back where we were, okay. And so the Tsitsa Project, its vision is to work, well, I'm not going to read the whole vision, but the vision is to generate benefits and share collaboratively the landscape from a social ecological perspective for the sake of the residents who live there. And so it was strongly framed as a partnership between researchers, natural resource managers, and residents. And it went on for about 6 or 7 years. It was funded by the Department of Fisheries, Forestry, and the Environment. Unfortunately, the funding didn't go as long as we'd hoped, so we had some difficulties in kind of rounding off the project unexpectedly. But we learned a huge amount in this project, and we built some really important relationships. And one of the relationships is what I want to talk about, is the photograph on the screen. 3 of the people here are from the Department of Fisheries, Forestry, and Environment, so they're natural resource managers, decision makers in the government department responsible for natural resource management. And the woman in the life jacket is Grace Saunders. She is a citizen technician, and she was trained to collect data on sediment in the river so that we could understand the sediment dynamics, how the sand and the mud moves in the landscape. And this is her demonstrating and showing her skills. So one of the big things we learned in the Tsitsa Project was that the project's research needs to benefit local communities. It needs to be of meaning to them, not just financial. So I co-supervised a master's student, Nosim Tati, who worked alongside the citizen technicians. She was the coordinator. And she also studied this process of coordinating and working with them. And it became clear that the benefits for the citizen scientists were not just about money and having a job, but it was about learning new skills, and it was about working with others. It was about understanding how the university works. And very, very importantly, it was about respectful relationships. They actually identified that as a benefit of the project, respectful relationships. And so that has been a really important lesson for all of us. And for me, it comes around to this idea of practice. What is practice? So we often treat practice as something, as academics, that's something that happens out there. But no, practice is something we all do. It's what we do. And as academics who are doing engaged research, respectful relationships become core to our practice. And so how we go about things and how we engage with people becomes a really important way of being, not just doing, but being as well. So that brings me to the next photograph, respect. One of the ways in which we learned these lessons in the Tsitsa Project was to shift the way the meetings were run. Very practical things. The first meeting was called a science management meeting. The project meeting was held in the Barrett Lecture Theatre at Rhodes University. And by the end of the life of the project, 5-6 years down the line, that meeting was run in English, of course, with lots of PowerPoint presentations. By the end of the project, we were running our meetings in the catchment, in isiXhosa, the scientists sitting at the back wondering what the hell is going on. And we had realized how important it was to do that. It took 6 years, it's a little bit embarrassing, but anyway, we got there, and we learned how important it was to respect people and to work in the local language and to be contextually sensitive. And those are things that can now be sort of taken forward in terms of how other projects are run. So yeah, language really matters, and how we work with people. And at this point, I just want to mention a few of the most important people in terms of my working relationships who've helped me in this process. Urita Rosenberg, Tally Palmer, Margaret Wolf, Nosiseko Mtati, Harry Biggs, Monde Nchutu, Laura Kondeala, and many, many others. But without their relationships and their support, we wouldn't be where we ended up in this project. Then we move on to River Rescue. So River Rescue, as you've heard in the citation, has been going since 2020, and I saw it as an opportunity to link my personal interests in wanting to clean up rivers, do something in the local community with my teaching work. And so we designed and have implemented now for 5 years a service learning program with our honours students. And one of the core processes that holds that program together is reflection. We reflect with the students. The students themselves reflect in terms of writing reports, journal entries, reflection reports, and then reflect with our partners. And that's been a really important growing space for me as well, as to how to facilitate those kinds of reflections. So what do we reflect on? Well, we reflect on cleaning the rivers. If any of you have lived in a small town in South Africa any time in the last 5 years, you'll know that almost all the rivers in South Africa in our small towns are trashed. They're a mess. So cleaning these rivers is really hard work, and it's really tough, emotionally tough. So one of the benefits we're seeing from embedding reflection in this teaching process is that it helps students to articulate their emotions and learn to feel them and be with those emotions. The kind of overwhelm, the despair that comes with going back again and cleaning the same patch of river again and again, and wondering why the sewage is still flowing freely 5 meters away from somebody's home. That's hard stuff to sit with. So the reflective processes help us to acknowledge those feelings and work with them in a productive way. So that's just one of the benefits of reflection. Another really important one is actually making sense of our experience and learning from them. And so the reflective practice that we're instilling or supporting our students to build is a lifelong skill that will take them well beyond the life of their work as academics or as students in the university. So the next thing I wanted to do, and I hope my notes are here, is to read a little excerpt from an essay that I wrote about my experiences in River Rescue. Excuse me. Sure, you guys are so quiet and attentive. It's unbelievable. Thank you for the laughs. So in 2020 and 2021, I was really fortunate to be a participant on a short course on reflective social practice, which we participated in a partnership between the Proteus Initiative and the Environmental Learning Research Centre at Rhodes University. And one of our assignments was to write a portrayal. And a portrayal is a kind of reflective essay based on a phenomenological approach to the world, which is very different to the way I was trained as a scientist. So it was quite something for me to learn this new and different way of reflecting and writing. So here we go. This is one little chapter from the essay. The title of the chapter, How Can I Claim to Be a Knower of Things and Also Not Know at All? I've been leading a group of environmental science honours students who are participating in River Rescue as a service learning activity. We've incorporated service learning into the honours course to teach students the importance of science with society, to link theory and practice, and to contribute to addressing local environmental problems. The students have by now, mid-August 2021, participated in a few cleanups. I've had some chats with them at the cleanup events. This is an opportunity for us to meet on campus now and reflect together. We sit on the lawns outside the department in the fading evening light. It gets colder as we sit there. It's such a difficult conversation. I can see that they want to be optimistic and enthusiastic. They express a need to want to do something real and helpful. Yet they're also questioning, as I am, why we're doing this, what the point is, and how one can maybe address these issues in a better way. I feel them looking to me for clarity, for some guidance, and I can't give them that. I tell them, honestly, how I feel about river rescue. The feelings of overwhelm, uncertainty about what we're doing. I speak about the time when Julian, my husband, came along to the cleanup and the stinking sewage in the river made him feel physically ill and he almost vomited. I talk about how the rubbish keeps coming. People do not see this as a river, but as a sewage ditch, as a completely logical place to throw your rubbish in the absence of alternatives. Are we rescuing a river if people don't see it as a river? That feels hard as a scientist of the environment, as their teacher, as someone who's expected to know and offer solutions, to feel helpless. Ours is a solution-oriented discipline, after all. I acknowledge that I feel the enormity of the problem, that I'm filled with doubt, often, about what we're doing and why we're doing it. As I share these feelings, my body gets tight, my voice catches in my throat. I take a moment to pause and look down, gather myself. There's silence. We feel it getting cooler. I wish I'd brought a jersey. The students respond, eventually, and begin to express their own questions and doubts. Is it fair to blame the community? How can we change their mindsets? Isn't this all the municipality's fault? Should River Rescue fundraise and provide more skips for people to throw their rubbish into? Shouldn't the government pay for this? What is the point anyway? I feel gratified that they're asking these questions, expressing their uncertainties, struggling with what they have experienced. If students are learning to become environmental scientists, then part of that learning is for them to feel the emotions that come with really seeing and confronting these messy, desperate, and difficult problems. Here we sit in the fading light of a cool evening, a group of young scientists, having to just be okay with the uncertainty and the not knowing. We will continue waking up every other Saturday to stare into the face of the monster that is environmental destruction, social injustice, and government failure, filling up one bucket after the next, one skip after the next, even though we don't know why. But the why for me is this: it's togetherness. Because we're not alone, we're doing it together. This is a lamppost that came out of the river. Don't ask why, lampposts in the river, who knows? One of many, many different interesting items that we've come across. Helen and Margaret can come up with a long list. Philip, Fiona, June, they're also all here. And these are the children that show up to help us haul the lampposts out of the river. And we get so much joy from working with the children, and they get so much joy from doing something fun. It's fun. This is Zolega Matiso. I'd like to take a moment now just to thank some of my students. I've roped in my students to do research alongside us in this process. So Zolega did her honours with us 3 years ago. Alex Collett also did her honours with us. Marco Nkwazi did his honours in the River Rescue Program. He's continuing now into a master's. So it's been a really important space for me to also work with students and grapple with these hard questions as junior researchers, as it were. So the next theme and idea that's really important is warmth. And the man playing soccer here in the photo is one of the warmest humans I know, Mwande Nchutu. He's here. Mwande, please wave. Where is he? Maybe he's not here. There he is. No, he's not. I thought he was. Where's he? Okay, he was around. Anyway, shame. Utata Mwande. He's a technician in our department and does a lot of community facilitation work. And here he is in the Tsitsa catchment playing soccer with the children, because this is community engagement. Having relationships, connecting with people, having fun, and having that human warmth, that authentic human connection is what really makes this work count and what makes it valuable for us, for our partners, for our students. And so the lesson here for me is for us to both intentionally create and cultivate opportunities for this human warmth, but also to look out for the unexpected opportunities for human connection and warmth in our work. And one of the most important things to do there is to take time with people, to eat and drink together, to sing together, to play together, to pray together, and to listen. And as scientists, that's not something that always comes very naturally, and I've had to work quite hard at cultivating that. And to have fun. So here are some of our friends from River Rescue also here with us today, June, Fiona, Zomzi. and Previn. Previn Chetty was a big friend of ours in River Rescue, a big friend of the river. He sadly passed away just over a month ago. We miss you dearly, Previn. And yeah, we've had a lot of fun in amongst the muck and mud and despair. And that's really what makes it keep going, what makes us keep going. So I want to now come to this idea of lifeblood. So head, heart, and hands have come through in some of what I've described. The head part is the science, the frameworks, the concepts, the theories, the methods. What we do as scientists is very much in our heads. It's important, it's necessary, we need to build that knowledge, but we can't do it in a disconnected way. So we need to employ our hands, we need to pull on our red gumboots and red gloves. Well, the gumboots are not always red, but the gloves are always red. Those are the best gloves. We've all figured this out. Then the Buco staff know already when we come in, the red gloves. So pull on your red gloves, get your hands dirty. This is how we build knowledge in a complex, uncertain environment. This is how we act together with others. And the heart, as I've said, the emotions that come with this, both the difficult emotions and also the fun and the warm emotions, that's what makes these relationships come alive, and that's what makes them help us keep going. So all of those are important, but to me what's more important is actually the lifeblood, because the lifeblood, the circulation in our bodies, is what connects it all and keeps it all going. And the rivers are the lifeblood of the planet, and this is quoting Helen Holloman. She's got so many wise words. It's so fun hanging out with her. She's so quotable. So this is a picture of Helen's, Omzi and Previn and myself and the ubiquitous children having a chat at the river. That doesn't look very lively, does it? It's all canalized up. It's all concreted up. Yet the river keeps moving. It's incredible. The river keeps moving. And that's the idea of lifeblood that's so important to me. And I want to relate that to this idea of practice. The practice needs to stay alive, to keep moving. Remember, as I said, practice is this idea of how we do things and how we are, our way of being. So we need to keep moving and keep practicing, even when it's hard, even when we don't know what we're doing and when we can't answer our students' questions. We need to keep moving and learn from the river. And Helen also always describes how the river will go over things and under things. And this is why one of the most important things we do when we're cleaning the river is to try and get the water moving again. And one of the chapters, I will resist reading you another chapter from my essay, but it was about a day when we tried to unblock a channel under the road, and how we pushed and pulled and found old mattresses and tires and wires. And we're like, yeah, we've unblocked the channel, and then there was a blockage on the other side, and you have to run around to the other side and unblock the next channel. Juna's grinning, she knows. This is what we do, to keep the river moving. So, yeah, for us in our practice as well, is to keep reflecting and to keep the practice moving. Then the idea of enough. And like I said, Helen's very quotable and a great inspiration to me. Last year, after I'd come back to work from maternity leave, I gave birth to our son Jonah 2 years ago. Don't worry, here's a picture of him coming. I came back to work and it was completely overwhelming, and it still is mostly, hence the keep moving idea. But I was in my office and I was meeting with Helen to talk about how we're going to do service learning. I'm back at work and the show must go on. And I said, I don't know if I can do this, Helen. I'm dropping balls all the time. I'm late with everything. I'm keeping people waiting. I forget things. I'm tired. I make mistakes. It's terrible. It's just, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe we should call it off. And Helen said, no. I've learned long ago, Jess, if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And here we are. If this is a job worth doing, thank you, Helen, for keeping us going. So good enough is the thing here. The world's problems are huge, complex, and overwhelming. We cannot fix them. We cannot take them all on, and we need to just be good enough to do something well enough. And the picture here is from Towerland, which is a very special place. That's where we went for the Reflective Social Practice course. It's in the Southern Cape near Mossel Bay. And we had a very special moment there where we were up on a mountain watching the sunrise on the far left of the photo, and the moonrise on the right. And thanks to Lizanne for the photo, it's her photo. And I had this moment of realization that it was impossible for me to look at the moon rising and the sun setting at the same time. They're both going on, but you can't look at them both. So that's for me capturing this idea of enough. It's enough to just pick one. I'm going to look at the moon and enjoy the moon, and know that the sun is setting, and I can't see the sun, but I'm watching the moon, and that is enough. So pick the thing you're going to do, and know that there's other stuff going on, but this is enough. And And there's Jonah. I would love to have brought Jonah here tonight, but I would not have been able to give this lecture. It would have been a completely different story. This photograph was taken last weekend, and it's Jonah reminding me that mud is fun. Mud is not all bad, not all stinky, not all sewage, not all municipal failure, not all uncertainty, not all scientists doesn't know what they're doing. Mud is fun. And we can learn so much from children, and I'm learning so much as a mother from Jonah, about just being present, and that is enough. And we were on a walk and we had a mission, we were going somewhere, but we had to stop. He's 2 years old, he's a tiny, adorable dictator. There are no alternatives. We will walk through this puddle. This is what we're doing now. And we had a great time and a glorious time. And it's just such a joy to raise such an adorable, delightful boy and to learn from him about the joys of things like mud. So coming close to the end now, I've got a few lessons to share with you. And the first is, how do we do more of this work and how do we do it better? Relate with love and care and resource that relating. We need resources to have time for slow relationship building in research and in teaching. Build relational and reflective competencies. We're very good in university at building scientific, technical competencies, academic competencies, but we need to build relational and reflective competencies if our students are to face up to the mess of the world and be part of addressing it. And we also need to find ways to assess this. That's a whole big question, the turtle friends. Let's go there. We need to practice staying in the mud, as hard as it is. And yes, it can be fun, especially if Jonah's there, but if he's not there, you need to stay in the mud, and doing it together and with your gumboots on is probably the best way. We need to cultivate a TD, transdisciplinary way of being with others in community of practice. This is a new way of being academics and scientists. It's not the way we've been taught, not the way I was taught in my undergrad, and so we need to do it together with others to figure it out and to not feel lonely and overwhelmed. And then we need to nurture reflective practice as the lifeblood of engaged work in higher education. I'm going to close off with two quite big questions. So, how can engaged research and teaching in higher education play an impactful role in contributing to the public good? Well, that's a big question that this conference, I think, is also grappling with. For me, there are at least 3 ways. There are many other ways, but we need to effectively incentivize and resource engaged teaching and research. And to me, this means no longer counting how many papers people publish, how many students we graduate, but looking at the quality of our education. Are we providing students with a transformative education that prepares them for the polycrisis of the world that we're living in? We need to think carefully about who gets awards and who doesn't. Who benefits and who doesn't. I'm here because I'm a permanent employed staff member, academic staff member. There is a lot of invisible work going on in our universities that is not being recognized and not being awarded. The support staff, the precariously employed people on contracts, they can't get awards. There's something wrong with that. We need to treat students and community partners as respected knowers. Us academics, the doctors, the profs, yes, we know some things, but our students and our partners also know a lot, and we need to treat that knowledge with respect and engage meaningfully with it. And on that note, lest you think I'm not going to practice what I preach, I would like to now open this question to the audience. And in particular, I'd like to ask the community partners who are in the audience for their thoughts on how can engaged research and teaching in higher education play an impactful role in contributing to the public good. Anybody want to contribute, offer a suggestion from your experiences, your ideas? While I have a drinks break. It's quite hard to see with this spotlight. Awkward, yeah. This is where the students who are asked to prepare are ready. Yes, they're ready. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Matsubane, please stand up and share your thoughts with us. Thank you. This is Matsubane Malabacha. He's one of our honors and environmental science students. Thank you, Matsubane.
service learning component, I got to understand what it is to implement something. So what you you read in books does not seemingly translate to what practice looks like. So that's one thing I had to learn quickly and kind of be comfortable with the fact that not everything will go as you for it in research or whatever it is that you're doing for it. Yeah, actually that's it.
Thank you so much, Matsobane. It's really good to hear your voice in the room. Thank you. I wish you had a mic as well. Anybody else like to contribute? Yes, Philip, thank you. This Philip Mechanic is one of our river rescue heroes and also an academic but a community member as well, so thank you, Philip.
Not as muddy a hero as I'd like to contribute to as well. One of the things in academia is we tend to measure things by outputs that are standardized units like publishing, students graduating and so on. If we really want community engagement to be more than just another output, should we not be getting the community members who are the beneficiaries to define what the measure of merit is?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Philip. That's a great suggestion. Nicola, thank you.
Just love to know what the community's view of their own river, what their own river. Communities who live close to the river. What are their views about it? And how do they respond and contribute to the kids engaging and creating more fun?
And I find myself saying, you know, how does one share our knowledge with them about rivers needing to flow, and how do we get, you know, how do we learn from them what is their knowledge of the river? Those are just questions I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicola. I'd like to come back to your question at the end when we're going to have a little Q&A session, if I may, Nicola, thanks. And if I forget, please can someone out of the 100 people in the room remind me? Thank you. We are almost at the end. So, a last big question I have. How do we maintain hope and strive for the public good when we are knee-deep in mud and waste and despair? Well, hopefully I've shown my experience, our experiences in partnerships is that we show up, we don't look away, we act in small ways, even if we're unsure, we reflect and learn together. So now it's over to you. We're going to reflect and learn together now to close this off. Everybody should have a piece of paper in front of them and a pen. If you don't, please raise your hand and my able student assistants will follow up where the gaps are. We're going to write a paired poem. So does everyone have a paper and a pen? You need a paper and a pen. The next thing you need is a partner. Community partnerships, partnering. You thought you were on your own in this lecture? No, no, no. So make sure you find a partner. Even if you need to move your chair or stand up, you need a partner. And for those listening into the live stream, there's a rumble in the room as people find their partners. And pens and papers. So, is everyone sorted with pen and paper and partners, the 3 Ps? Public-private partnerships, just kidding. So, this is how it's going to go. This is your guiding question. We're just trying to make sense of what I shared here. I would like you to walk away with something that you've taken from it, I hope. So what has stood out for you in the lecture so far? What might I take with me into my own practice in work or life? This is the guiding question, and this is how we're going to do it. You're going to write a paired poem, and you're going to swap over papers at every line in the poem. I'll guide you through it, don't worry. Okay. So, write one word, the first line of the poem, one word that captures some of what you've gained from today. The first line of your poem is one word. Everybody write your first word. And you're going to do this quietly and not communicate verbally with your partner. It's a silent, paired poem. I should have put that up. So you've all got one word. Okay, now swap papers. And now you're going to write the second line of the poem. Remember, no verbal communication with your partner. Up to you. What are the next 2 words that come to mind for you? The second line of your poem. 2 words. Just 2 words on the second line of the poem. Sorry, I should have highlighted that. That's the structure of the poem over there on the left. Sorry, oopsie. Thank you for raising my attention to this. So your poem is going to have 5 lines. The first line has 1 word, so you can put 1 line. The second line has 2 words. The third line has 3 words. The fourth line has 2 words. And the last line has 1 word. So maybe just add those lines onto the paper that's in front of you for now, just to give the template. Sorry about that important step that I skipped. Okay, so now you should be able to write your second line, 2 words. And then you can swap back. No talking to your partner. Now you write the third line of your poem, 3 words. So the fourth line of your poem, 2 words.
What line are we on? Are we on the third line or the
Okay, some are on the third line still, that's fine. Some have gone to the fourth line. Let's all pause once we've got to the fourth line. Make sure you swap between line 3 and 4. Okay, are we all on line 4? 2 words on line 4. Still some swapping going on. All right, now we swap for the last time to line 5, the last line of the poem, 1 word. Okay. Take your time. I'll stop now. Okay, are we done? Do we need a bit more time? More time. This is not your life's work. It's just a small poem. It could be your life's work though, I suppose. Knowledge emerges in all kinds of funny places. Okay, so now take a moment to read your poem to yourself or your partner and have a little laugh. And then I'd like to hear 2 or 3 at least poems from the floor. Whoever's brave enough to share their poem with the audience. I would love to hear some of your poems. So if you feel brave enough, put your hand up and then we'll get the mics coming around to capture the poems. Yes, is that a hand over there? Thank you. There's a hand. Can we get a mic there, please? And then there's another one. Thank you. Yay, I'm excited to hear the poems. Okay, there's the first poem. Off we go.
Hi everyone. Reflecting and feeling, engaging, learning, teaching, growing, growing, trusting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. There's another one over there at the right at the back. Thank you. The blue top.
Hello, there we go. Ours ended up sounding like a slogan for River Rescue, so maybe just consider it. Hope we all stay in mud, together we care.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And then I think we had 2 over here. Okay, there's a mic here on this side. Thank you. Let's have 2 more from the side of the room. Can we be quiet, please? Thank you. Oh, the mic's not on.
Love is mud, messy and gushy, but so good.
Okay, we have a last one from Philip. Thanks, Philip. Oh, Mum wants to have one. She gets a special chance. Philip and then Mum. Okay, thanks, Philip.
Stench, movement, sound. Make us think. What next? Now.
Thank you, Philip. And then Mum, thank you. She always has the last word. I love it.
No pressure.
No pressure. Now you know how I felt all evening.
Enough. Community involvement, fun, warmth, caring, knee-deep, enough.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you. So here's my poem. Practice, respect, reflect. Togetherness, warmth, fun. Lifeblood, enough, mud. And Jonah. Thank you so much, everybody. I know Joe's eager to send me off the stage. I'd like to take 2 or 3 questions, if I may, please, Joe. And I want to start with Nicola's. Nicola was asking about how does the community feel about the river. So we have Zolega's Honours looked into this. She spoke to the elders who live along the river and collected their stories of what it's been like to live along that river for decades and see it degrade in the way that it has. And her results were quite heartbreaking, actually, where people have initially as children and young adults this very positive relationship with the river, playing and connecting meaningfully, having spiritual processes carrying out in the river, to most people now seeing the river as a rubbish ditch. And that is what it is. And as much as the children are playing it, they probably shouldn't be because it's filthy and dangerous. So that's a little bit of what's come out in our research. There's lots more to say, but that's just a little snippet. May I take maybe 2 more questions or comments? Yes, thank you. Of course, Helen. Watch out for a quotable quote, everyone. Yes.
An interview with the woman, she ended by saying, but when we got taps in our houses, we forgot about the rivers.
Yeah.
And that break in connection, I think, splits us from our entire environment, and was one of the saddest things I'd ever heard.
Thank you, Helen. Another question or 2? I've heard this conference audience has been so responsive today. You may be all done out. Sheila, thank you.
Very interesting to hear from the elders, but you were playing with children and I work in education, and they are the future, so what do they say?
Thank you. That is what Markin is going to do with his masters this year. We are going to involve the children in the research and play with them and hear what they say. So watch the space. Thank you. We can obviously answer without research, but that's my researcher hat answer. Thanks, Sheila. A last one before you all go home and have your dinner or sleep or feed your babies. No? Going once, going twice. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Jess, for that lovely... Can you hear me? Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening to celebrate and just acknowledge the hard work that Jess has contributed to her academic life here at Rhodes, being involved not only in research and teaching but also in the community. So we have a lot to learn from her. And I want to say thanks, Jess, for opening up your thoughts and emotions for us. That was very nice of you to let us in, and so that we can feel what you feel. And with that, I'd like to give you a small token of our appreciation. Thank you very much. And can I just say to those that are participating in the Community Engagement Conference, thank you for staying on so late, and have a wonderful evening for the rest of the night. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for sharing that.